Hey guys, Rukshan here coming to you with this breaking news of what's happening here in Victoria, and that is that gas connections will be banned in all new homes going forward starting next year. That's right, gas connections will no longer be built into homes in Victoria. That has with it all sorts of implications. But one of the issues that I want to discuss is why a lot of this is happening. And before I get into reading this article, I want to show you guys what the UN was talking about yesterday. And we're seeing the rhetoric around climate change and these issues really being amped up right now. And at a certain point, people would have said that a lot of this stuff was the talk of conspiracy, where we're heading down to issues where, climate and issues around climate will be dictating how our lives are lived going forward. But if you listen to this from the UN yesterday, this is from their leadership, and this really talks about how, now we're in a period of global boiling. Back in the day, they used to talk about global warming, and then they switched that over to climate change. And now we're seeing this transition happening again, or these interchangeable terms being used, global boiling. They're saying that this is the hottest July in the history of the world ever, or whatever they've recorded. But look, let's listen to the UN and see what they had to say.
And for scientists, it is unequivocal. Humans are to blame. All this is entirely consistent with predictions and repeated warnings. The only surprise is the speed of the change. Climate change is here, it is terrifying, and it is just the beginning. The era of global warming has ended, the era of global boiling has arrived. The air is unbreathable, the heat is unbearable, and the level of fossil fuel profits and climate inaction is unacceptable. Leaders must lead.
So yeah, some very strong language there, talking about how things are unacceptable. The era of global warming is finished. Now we're in global boiling. You need to listen very carefully to the types of language that is being used here. And I guess in a way, the types of threats which are being made around this is a man-made problem, and that we have to do more. There's almost no time anymore. It's over type thing. This is the kind of rhetoric that we're getting from these organizations. Now, the UN is in many ways responding directly to what's happening in Europe right now, with a lot of the heat issues that they're having, some of the wildfires and all this kind of stuff. But this is all interconnected, of course, to what's happening in Victoria and in Australia as well, as our governments chase these type of climate targets, net zero carbon emission reductions and all sorts of things. So when we're seeing gas connections being banned from Victoria, this is all tied into it. Now, for now, it's just new homes, but you can envisage a future where that is standard, all types of gas banned. And we're already seeing local councils going after sporting facilities that might be using deep fryers. We're seeing around the world other such instances of certain traditional methods of cooking being outlawed, like cooking pizza in wood-fired pizza ovens. Things like this are actually happening more and more. So with that in mind, let's read this article from Victoria, from The Age. New Victorian homes will be banned from connecting to gas from January 1st next year as the state cracks down on gas usage. Energy Minister Lily D'Ambrosio and Housing Minister Sonia Kilenki said on Friday morning the ban will take effect for all new homes and residential subdivisions requiring a planning permit from the start of next year. The announcement comes just one day after the state government tabled its overdue response to the renewable energy inquiry held during the last term of Parliament. That inquiry, which handed down its recommendations in May 2022, suggested that government considers enacting a moratorium on new residential gas connections. In its reply, which is due in September last year, the government said it supported the recommendations in principle. Victoria is the biggest residential gas user in Australia, with around 80% of homes connected. Now, in Victoria, this is being sold off as a very exciting thing that's going to be happening because people will be able to save on a lot of money through reducing their bills, and going all electric is meant to help people save thousands of dollars apparently. And also if they go solar, they'll save even more money. Now, I don't know whether to trust the government on this particular point implicitly, seeing as how we're paying all sorts of crazy amounts for our electricity at the moment, and there's other issues attached to that, and whether they can sustain these things that they want to do by banning gas and for instance, during a blackout where there's no electricity available, what do people in those homes use if they can't use gas? Do they go off to Bunnings and buy a gas bottle and hook it up to something and cook that way? Or will those kind of gas products be banned as well? Like, in my opinion, that feels like the direction all of this is heading. Let's hear from Lily D. Imbrasio and see what she has to say.
We will be helping to deliver real energy savings for Victorians from day one of moving into a new all-electric home, from day one. And of course, this is very exciting. Very exciting because we know that the cost of living for Victorians is getting bigger and bigger. Doing something about it is exactly what today is about. And it also, of course, means that we'll be reducing our emissions even further, which, of course, is another important ambition and policy for our government. So this is a great day. It's a great day for taking real action that will help the cost of living for Victorians entering their new homes. I'll pass over to...
So yeah, helping Victorians reduce the cost of living, apparently, according to these people. Again, I am not 100% sold on the government helping us in those ways. And of course, she mentioned there her ambitions and the ambitions of the Victorian government and of course the Australian Labor government to go down this path, and even our Liberal government who are all up in this net zero carbon emissions reducing thing. A lot of this is going to come at a great cost to the people like us, everyday people, our lives. Things are going to go up in price. I, for 1 second, do not believe that this is going to help reduce costs. This is going to be a very hard transition for us to make. And it's something that we're going headfirst into. And I think we're going to see more and more of these type of bans and effects on our lives, particularly after hearing the rhetoric coming out of the UN, very doomsday type stuff that they're talking about, and they're really amping up the pressure. Anyway, guys, what do you think? Do you support this new ban on gas in Victoria in new homes? Just to be careful there for the fact checkers. Ban on gas on new homes for now, or are you fully against it? And do you see a lot of problems with the rhetoric from the Victorian government as well as this rhetoric from the UN? If you're enjoying my videos and you want to follow along with my work, you can find me on YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, Rumble, and Odyssey at The Real Rukshan, or you can follow along at Rukshan Fernando if you search me up on those platforms. Thanks again, everyone, and see you next time.